I get from him with that whole thing is he sees like you being a father and husband, and he sees me being a wife and a mum, and that we've got them, and he really loves all of that. Like, he's like, oh, I can't wait to get married, and I can't wait to have my own children and stuff. So I think we might make it look too fun.
Oh no, okay. Well, I know I can make it hard for you. I can make it as hard as you want. Mate, listen, I will go out, I'll father other children and give you hell. I'll give you Pepe.
I send it back.
Turn up to the house drunk.
I reject it.
I'm coming in.
I reject it.
I can make it hard for you.
No, I think he looks at it and he thinks, no, you guys are having the time of your life.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do that.
That's because we're always eating food.
Yeah, we're just always enjoying, to be fair.
Like,
so funny.
There's always some type of platter in front of us.
Enjoyment. Oh my God. So, with him going back to school, he's had that transition of the summer holidays, and then of course it was during the summer holidays that we got the place for his school, and there was a lot of like prep and build up to that, you know, just mentally helping him to prepare, and then emotionally helping him to prepare as well, that closure of, you know, you're leaving one school, you're leaving your old friends and stuff like that behind, and then moving over to a new school where you're going to be new people, you know, that have a different way of communicating. They have a different style, you know, to how they play and the things that they do, different facilities and things like that. I would say it's more kind of like a secondary school education in primary now.
It feels like that when you're even there.
Exactly.
Like there is that part to it anyway, but it feels, for him, I don't feel like I'm picking up an 8-year-old. I feel like I'm picking up like a 13-year-old, like a teenager sometimes.
I think that emotional sort of like support that you give leading up is such a big part of it.
You forget that's coming.
Yeah.
As a parent, you're like, oh my days, you're going through this stage.
Yeah.
And then like even for me, like the other day, I was just like, oh God, like, how did I feel back then? Okay, and then it's all coming to me. I remember I came to you one day and I was just like, look, that boy in about a year, he's going to start experiencing, like, new things.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I got that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I got that part.
I was just like, thank goodness, because I have no idea what that
boys,
is like.
Puberty for boys. Oh, man.
It's wild.
It's like, I'm going to be like, son, you're going to want to hump everything that you see. Just calm down. Take a step back. Breathe. But yeah, you do forget that. Even like emotionally, like watching him process leaving his friends in his old school to go to a new school, that was weird. Yeah. Because it was just like, wow, okay, you're really going to miss these guys.
Yeah. If you think about it, school was one of those things where you're so engrossed that it's all you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
it shapes you for a while.
It does.
For a long while.
A really long time. And if I think back now, I think back to a lot of, there was a lot of undoing that I had to do, like emotionally and just mentally and just overall. With going to the school that we went to. Yeah, there was a lot of unpacking and a lot of like, you know, limiting belief that came from that season, I think. But I think it's so different for him now, having us as parents, knowing that kind of journey, to be able to go through that with him now and just instill that belief in him, you know. Even simple things like going over, standing up for yourself. Do you know what I mean? Presenting yourself well, like actually being ready, like your haircut, you know, making sure your uniform's ready, your shoes are polished, just the basic things, your bag's packed and your things are ready to go.
I didn't get that growing up. As a son. As a son, I didn't, you know, it was single parent, my mum. And so I grew myself. And there was a lot of trial and error.
Oh.
A lot of trial and error, you know what I'm saying? Like, I went to school and be like, man, look at your trainers. Man! Like, and you knew, okay, like, you had to piece things together, like, especially if you live in a single parent home where, like, your mum's working from early and you have to kind of almost raise
Figure
yourself.
it out yourself.
Figure it out yourself. there was a lot of that going on. Like, okay, maybe I don't do that next time. Maybe I don't until you kind of like hone it in and just like, okay, this is almost acceptable. This is the standard.
Yeah.
Versus my son, who gets that from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I can see sometimes he's just like, why is dad like so on my case about brushing my hair and making my shoes look good and like all these things. I can tell he's just like, give me a break. I'm just a child. But for me, it's just like, big man, ain't no one gonna take the mick out of my son. Come to that school and pick up an 8-year-old and toss him. You know what I mean? So that just watching the wheels turn on this, like in his head, like education and handling friendships and even handling like a workload. Like his new school. Yeah,
they do a lot more. Like I was looking at the books. I like it. I think it keeps them occupied. So
it does, but sometimes I'm like, I walked into the school, I saw one girl, she had like 4 bags. Yeah. And she was like so tiny. Yeah. And she was just
and she knew how to carry it.
She was probably like strutting to her class.
Her
and I was just like,
rugby kit, her book bag,
I was like,
and then her PE bag.
I was like, chill.
Yeah. And then any other little projects that they're working on, you need to carry your things. Yeah. And you're responsible.
For me back then it was just playtime.
Yeah.
I just look forward to hearing that bell go so I can run out and play with my friends. I didn't care for the education part.
Yeah. I loved it. So for me, because of course I had a part of my education in Jamaica. Yeah. So before I left, a lot of our education was outside. You know, you got to explore like with your like numbers with stones and things like that.
Yeah,
so
very practical.
Yeah,
that's cool.
very, very practical, and I loved a lot of those subjects. And then that transition to come in here where everything's, you're kind of sat behind a desk, you're inside, you know, you're working with whatever objects you're basically given to work with and stuff.
So telling of like the future future jobs we aspire into, because everything is like behind the desk for most people.
Yeah, it's true.
For most people, well, for a lot of people.
Yeah, for a lot of people, and that transition, I basically went from you know, loving a lot of the subjects to come in here, going again back to school here and hating the subjects because I couldn't. In my brain, I couldn't compute a lot of the stuff that I was being taught because there was no practical element to it. So I couldn't connect.
I think that's the problem with education in this country anyway. Yeah. That there isn't that practical element. Because just like I said, you know, over here, you know, you aspire to a desk job. Yeah. Mainly. Over back home, it's everything's outside. Like even if you're working in the market, everything is practical and it's very hands-on. You think of
all the different logistics. And, you know, you're constantly working things out. Where it's very different here. It's very like streamlined and process. Literally. And then dealing with crazy people.